My husband told me he hopes I die during my surgery. I am getting a gastric bypass in 2 weeks. I have had this plan for over a year when I got insurance. It was a snap decision, but my weight has been an issue my whole life, and my GP has been pushing me to get the surgery after multiple failed attempts at trying to lose it myself and multiple health issues being made worse by my weight. A year ago, I made the decision during my lunch break to get health insurance, and the fortnightly payments have pretty much kept me motivated in my journey to better myself because, oh my god, it's so much money. My husband was so angry when I called and told him I signed up for the insurance. He told me it was a waste of my money and I didn't need to lose weight, but after a short argument, he didn't bring it up again. Months went by and I forgot about it because I had a whole year to wait before I could do anything, but I was taking steps to better myself in other areas. I started dressing nicer. I went into a clothes store for the first time in a decade and spent $1,000 on a new wardrobe, which sounds like a lot, but I've hated myself for so long. I only wore t-shirts and joggers. I went to the hairdresser for the first time in 6 years. I went to the dentist. I'm looking into maybe braces. I started my bachelor's of data science. Like when I say I have completely taken this as a chance to become a new person, I am not joking. I want to come out of this being proud of who I am and not just the same me in a skinnier body. My husband is not supportive at all of this. Every step of the way he told me that I'm just doing the wrong thing. I'm spending too much money. The clothes I wear don't look good. I'm not smart enough to do data science. I just ignored it because I thought maybe if I improved myself, it would motivate him to do the same. He doesn't even need to get a better job or anything like that, but maybe he could cook more or do stuff around the house or take care of things I can't because I'm so busy. But he won't. Like, we're only 25 and 26. We can do anything we want. Our life isn't over yet, and we have only just started it. He doesn't have to spend the rest of his life doing nothing. The closer we got to my surgery date, the more he would send me videos of bariatric surgery patients telling their stories going wrong to scare me out of doing it. He would tell me statistics of me gaining weight back and that I'll probably still be fat, so there is no point. After about a week of this, I snapped and an argument ensued. I called him lazy and said that he's living off my money, so I don't know why he complains so much. He told me he hopes I don't wake up from the surgery and walked out. He won't answer my calls now, and I think in 2 weeks I'm going to come back out of surgery without a stomach or a husband.
Okay, so story time about how my girlfriend cheated on me with my best friend. Come on, ladies, it's not supposed to be us. This is unacceptable. Okay, so a little background information. I was 17 and in 9th grade. Now, I also lived on my own because when I came out to my parents, they pretty much just kicked me to the curb whenever I was in 7th grade. But here's the thing, right? My girlfriend and my best friend had a hate-hate relationship. Like, they could not fucking stand each other. So I thought. Anyways, they would fight about who would get to spend time with me on what days. It was ridiculous. I mean, other than that though, everything was good up until there was some very sus activity going on. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys, I did low-key feel like my girlfriend was cheating on me because of the very obvious red flags that I just so happened to ignore, per usual. Anyways, sign number one should have been the fact that every time she was on her phone, she would make sure that her brightness was all the way down, and she would always kind of, you know, turn it away from me whenever I would, you know, be next to her. Well, now on to my best friend. All of a sudden, she has everybody and their mother trying to make plans for her, and she has no time for me at all. And I'm not gonna lie, you guys can call me, dumb for this one.
This is the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life.
I was over my girlfriend's house the one day, and she has this one sweatshirt that she really likes. I really like it too. So I go to grab it and it's not there, and I ask her where it is, and she's like, oh, my sister must have took it on vacation with her. So, you know, I'm like, okay, I brush it off. Well, a few days later, I go over to my best friend's house, and she comes and opens the door, and y'all already know, she's wearing the sweatshirt. You know, because her and my girlfriend hated each other so much, I believed her when she told me that it was her boyfriend's. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this is the part where it kind of seems like I'm intentionally being delusional. So one day I go over to my girlfriend's house and I look over by her closet and I see this weird looking case on the ground. Now, my best friend would wear fake lashes, okay, and she had a case that she would put them in, and she wrote her initials on the bottom. So I go over there, I grab it, and I'm like, what's this? And she's like, I don't know. And then I'm like, I didn't know you wear lashes. And then she goes, I don't, they're probably yours. Like, girl, I think I would know if these are mine. Anyways, I turn the case over, and what do you know, it is my best friend's initials, but they're super faded. Well, I would say what finally snapped me out of that fucking delusion that I was in was the one day whenever my girlfriend came over to my house, and she had just got done with basketball practice. So she went to go and take a shower. I took it upon myself to go through her phone. Like, I was tired of playing these games with her because girlie was acting acting sus and I had to figure out what the was going on. Well, good thing I did, because the shit that I found, whew, when I went through her phone, I saw that her and my best friend had been sexting each other, you know, sending nudes and everything else. So I took screenshots of everything, and I'm just gonna put this out here right now. I am that bitch who's so fucking extra. Like, do not play with me, please do not. So with that being said, you guys want to know what I did? Did I confront them about it? No. Did I send the videos and pictures of them to their parents? No. Instead, I printed out over 100 packets with all of these pictures and text messages, and I stapled them all together very neatly, and then I handed them out to the whole school. And then I gave them to their parents. Because you guys want to be messy, we can be messy.
You know, I had to double it.
Obviously, after this, I break up with Ashley. I don't even think I really needed to break up with her at that point. I think that it was already implied that that's what was happening. I haven't seen either of them since that whole situation. Oh, and I also heard that they got into a ton of trouble with their parents. Also, I kind of screwed up Ashley's social life. Not kind of, I did. Because Ashley was one of those people that everybody liked, but I guess not anymore. Karma's a bitch, but I'm worse. So next time you want to play games, play with your mama, not me.
So when I was in high school, I was friends with this girl. For story's sake, we'll call her Hannah. So it was like near the end of our senior year. I had gone and driven to Hannah's house, and it was just me and her. We were just like hanging out, whatevs. And she starts talking about how she wants to go to this party that these kids at our school were throwing. This location was called The Barn, and it was a literal barn that this kid would throw parties at, right? So I had never been to the fucking barn ever in my life. I never had fucking planned on going there, solely based on the fact, so the friend group that would throw parties at the barn, I didn't agree with their ideology. Frankly, I didn't even like any of them as people either. So I was like, fuck no, I'm not fucking taking my ass there. But she wanted to get her ass in there so bad just so she could talk to her ex-boyfriend that she has been on again, off again for how many goddamn years. And at this time, he was with a completely different bitch, you know? So in my head, I was like, there's so many things wrong with this situation and so many things that could go even worse. So me being me, just trying to please my friends, I was like, fine, we'll go, but I do not want to stay long at all. Like, just do what you need to do. Like, we need to be there like an hour max, maybe 30 minutes max. So I had hit up like 3 of my other friends to come with us because, like, again, like, I don't really know anyone at this fucking party, not really friends with any of them, don't like most of them. So yeah, they come with us, they pick us up, we arrive at the fucking barn, and the first thing we see is this kid fucking walks out of the barn and comes up to us and starts critiquing what my friends are wearing. Like, what the fuck is this? Are you a goddamn bouncer? And he's like talking to my friend like, I don't like the shoes you got on. Like, bitch, get the fuck back where the fuck you were. Do you, like, ugh. And immediately I was like, oh my god, I literally want to go home. But we press forward. So then my other 3 friends start talking about how they want to leave after like 30 minutes, maybe an hour passes. They're like, they want to leave. People here are fucking weird. They're giving them a hard time. They don't like them. And they just want to go home. And I was like, bitch, fuck yeah, like, I want to fucking leave, you know? So I'm talking to Hannah, like, all of us are talking to Hannah. We're like, okay, like, I think that is enough. Like, we should go. Hannah didn't get a chance to talk to her boy yet, so she didn't want to leave, obviously. She started asking me, like, do you think we can just find another ride and you can stay with me and they can go? And I was like, me being people pleasing again, I was like, sure, like, we'll just find a different ride. And then I told my other 3 friends, like, okay, it's fine, you can go, and we'll figure it out, you know? Which I don't know why the fuck I did that, because we weren't friends with anyone there. No one was gonna fucking take us home. So the night very unfortunately goes on, and then she ends up talking to her boy, and I'm like, fucking finally, now we can almost be fucking done, you know? So, like, they leave me to go talk. I'm like, whatevs, private conversation, don't really care. But I'm by myself, so don't know anyone, by myself. So at this point, they were gone for a while, and I was like, fuck, I'm literally so over this. Like, how long is this gonna fucking take? And I had went to where they were talking. They were, like, in the back of the barn, fucking back of the barnyard, and I go up to them, I'm like, hey, guys, like, what's going on? Can I join you guys? Because literally, the whole entire time they were talking, I was, like, walking around this kid's fucking house. Like, literally a stranger's home. I'm just walking around, looking around, went in the barn, went inside their house, and I was like, wow, this is nice, you know? Hannah then tells me, she's like, the conversation's, like, really private. Like, can you, like, go somewhere else? And I was like, fine, because I have nowhere else to go anyways. So I did what I was told, trying to fucking, like, help my friend, and I just sit on this kid's fucking porch by myself, and I'm like, whatever, I'll just wait. And then this girl comes up to me, and she's fucking, like, stumbling all over the place, and I'm like, oh my god, what the fuck? And she, like, grabs onto me and everything, and I'm, like, trying to help her up and everything. And I ask her if she's okay, and she's, like, telling me all the shit she was doing and everything like that. And I looked at her face, and I was like, oh my god, this girl, it looks so young. And I asked her, and I'm like, hey, how old are you, by the way? And she's like, oh, I'm in 8th grade, like, I'm 13. And I told her, I was like, bitch, we are literally seniors, like 17, 18-year-olds. And I was like, dude, I should have known. I should have never fucking come here. And I was telling the girl, I'm like, oh my god, what you need to do, you need to call your mother. You need to go home. I don't care how much trouble you're gonna get in. You cannot be here. And at that point, I was so fucking uncomfortable. So then I went back to Hannah, and I was like, please, can we, like, go? I'm so uncomfortable right now. Literally, a fucking preteen came up to me just now. And she continues to, like, shoo me away because she's still talking. So I'm getting fucking irritated. So I walk into the house, like, fucking storm into this person's fucking house, and I see a girl that I have, like, fucking art class with, you know, and I start talking to her. I'm like, hey girl, like, how you doing, blah 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 blah. And she's like, hey, like, blah blah blah, like, oh my god, I didn't think you'd be here, you know, like, you know how bitches be, you know. So I'm talking to that girl, and then all her little cheerleader friends come over too and start talking to us because they were all going home together. And that's when I slip in. I'm like, hey guys, like, real talk, like, do you think I can catch a ride with you guys? Because, like, my friend is still talking, I have nowhere to go, and, like, I'm literally, like, just stranded here. And they're like, girl, of course you can come with us. So I'm like, thank God they were fucking there that night. So then I walk back to the porch, and, like, the fucking little girl is, like, on her phone and everything like that. She's like, my mom's gonna come pick me up. Okay, I sat there, and I waited for her mother to come get her, and I talked to her mother. I didn't even know the fucking girl's name, but I was like, I don't know why she's here, but people here are older, and these people are weird, and I'm trying to leave. She needs to go home. So her mom took her home, and then I went to go find Hannah again. I'm like, Hannah, I'm leaving because fuck you, to be honest, for making me do this. Yeah, I'm obviously mad at her, and I just tell her I'm going. And then I leave with all these fucking, like, cheerleader girls. And I tell them to drop me off at Hannah's house, and I get there, and right when I get there, it's fucking 3 a.m. at this point. Hannah then calls me, and she's like, can you please pick me up? And I told her I was irritated, and I was like, dude, I've been wanting to leave for literally hours, because we got there at, what, maybe 10 o'clock? It's 3 a.m. Before I left, too, I literally asked her, I'm like, is it okay if I go? Like, even though I'm fucking angry, I'm like, is that okay, though? You know what I mean? And she's like, yeah, I'll figure it out. She didn't figure it out, so she just asked me. So she made me drive fucking, like, 20 minutes back, because she was mad at me and everything, and I can't deal with people being mad at me before. So I got her, I dropped her off at her house, and I fucking took my ass home, finally. Moral of the story is, it's okay to have boundaries, and you should be able to say no. And that if you are friends with someone who is constantly pressing you for their own benefit and doing things only for their benefit, yeah, stop being friends with them, girl.
Story time about how I fell in love with my college professor. It all started when I first took her class, like, 6 years ago, and I had a massive crush on her. And if you're thinking, this sounds like a woman-loving woman Wattpad story, you're absolutely right. So I took her English class for a semester. Nothing happened. I just fell in love with her. But nothing happened. But I had to make something happen. So I took the next class that I needed in English from her over summer, like 1 or 2 years later. Nothing happened while I was in her class again. However, I did borrow some books for her, and I was like, I need to take advantage of this opportunity. This is the only in I have. So I emailed her when the class was over, and I was like, I really want to get these books back to you. Like, let me know your schedule so I can drop them off. And she was like, oh, you can just take them to the writing center office and ask them to leave them in my box. Thanks. I was thinking, that's not going to work because I need to have a one-on-one conversation with you. She was already trying to sabotage my plans. Clearly not interested. Clearly not getting the message. So I was like, oh, I just really want to thank you for this semester. I want to hand them to you personally. So she lets me know her schedule, and I come to her class with the book to return it. No one was in class at this point. This is like when her class was over. So anyway, we just get to chit-chatting, and we're having like the best conversation ever. So I eventually sit down, as one would when you're deep in conversation, and our conversation lasted like for an hour and a half. So at this point, I was like, wow, I did not expect this from her. I did not expect us to like hit it off. I just thought like, I actually don't know what I thought. But after that, she was like, don't be a stranger. Like, feel free to come visit me whenever. So she was still on the friendly vibes, and I was like, oh, I'm not going to be a stranger. So the next time I come to visit her, it's the same thing. We have a pretty lengthy conversation. It's really fascinating. It's really interesting. And I was like, okay, how am I going to get this out of the classroom, you know? And we were walking out of the classroom. We were walking to our cars, just kind of chit-chatting. And I was like, you need to ask for her number. You just need to. So I was trying to hype myself up to ask for her number or ask her to go like get some coffee. I was so scared, and I knew deep down I wasn't going to do it. So luckily, she had the courage, and she just turns to me and she goes, "Well, why don't I give you my number so we can do this like at a coffee shop or something?" By the grace of God, I played it cool, and I was like, "Yeah, we can totally do that. Here, let me get your number." Pulled out my phone. We exchanged contacts. And it did take us a little while before we actually hung out, but we would just text as friends, like, "Hey, how's your day going? What are you up to?" We're both like animal lovers, so I would always send her, who isn't an animal lover? That sounded so pick me, but anyway, we would like exchange pictures of our cats. But eventually we decided to go to a Starbucks, and we met up and we talked for a while. I had just gone to a concert, so I was showing her videos, and then we went to the beach. It was purely friendly vibes, and I was like slowly getting my hopes up until we were like in her car driving back from the beach, and she moved a hair out of my face. That's when I got a little bit of hope. But she swears at that time she still only saw me as a student and just a friend, so... But we became besties after that, and we would text constantly and share music and share just everything. And we kept hanging out. We would go out to eat a lot. Like, we went to lunch a lot. And I was still in school this time. I wasn't in any of her classes, but I was still in school. She was still teaching, of course. And so just between jobs and classes, we would, like, meet up. And it was just so nice. But I was, like, falling in love with her. And I was like, okay, if this doesn't turn into something, I'm going to have to cut her off because I would be completely shattered. Sometimes I would get a vibe that she wanted to be more than friends, but it was just so hard to tell. And she's a Libra, so if you're into astrology, you know they're just so flirty, and it's so hard to tell. But... I just did my brows. But I was gonna say, right before I basically was about to tell her, like, I gotta go, my eye must be dry because my eyeshadow was like not feeling the vibes. Anyway, I'm dragging this out. She texted me and told me, "Hey, we really need to talk. I think we should FaceTime. Don't worry, it's nothing bad. I would just rather like have this conversation on more of a face-to-face vibe." And she was out of town, so we couldn't chat in person like we normally do. I honestly thought she was gonna tell me like, I see you like flirting and kind of crossing the line, like I just need to tell you. You know, I thought it was gonna be on that vibe. But once we got on the phone, she was like, "Well, I'm crazy about you." And me being me again, I tried to play it so cool. I was like, "Thank you for telling me." Like, I wasn't giving anything back. Don't ask me why I was playing hard to get, but I was like, okay, you know, I think like I really wanted to wait until I saw her in person. I also freaked out a little bit because what was only, you know, something that I was playing up in my head and like, you know, in a way fantasizing about, not in a weird way, but you know, it wasn't real. It became real, and it scared me a little bit because being her friend, I was safe there. And then when she confessed her feelings to me, I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. I don't know if this was supposed to leave my brain. But when she came back from being out of town, we met at Starbucks, and I was like, I feel the same. I have feelings for you. And then we discussed, you know, what we would do moving forward. And that was taking it slow. That did not happen. But, you know, we're lesbians. Of course we're not going to take it slow. So to all my Delulu girlies out there, don't give up. Because I had my eyes set on her when I first took her class. A couple years later, we just celebrated our 4-year anniversary. Also, nobody can tell me that simply showing up is not shooting your shot, because that's exactly what I did.
Am I the astronaut for sending my future sister-in-law to my future mother-in-law's place after she refused to pay for the wedding cake samples she and her friends ate? Okay. Trying to get it straight in my head. All right. Let's figure it out. I, 27 female, and my fiance, Leo, 27 male, decided to let my FSIL, future sister-in-law. I, 27 female, and my fiance, Leo, 27 male, decided to let my future sister-in-law, Maya, 32 female, stay at our house because she needed space from her husband due to some relationship struggles they're having. Leo and I have gotten wedding cake samples from an expensive bakery specializing in wedding cakes. We planned to test them along with Maya after we finished up some other wedding plans yesterday. However, when I came home from work to see Leo yelling at Maya, the box the samples came in was wide open on the living room table, and Maya was arguing with him. I asked what was happening, and Leo angrily told me that while we were both at work, Maya had some friends over, and they ended up eating almost all of our cake samples. I was shocked and asked Maya why the hell she would do something like that. Maya said that she needed to pick me up from what she was going through with her husband and invited her friends over to comfort her, which turned into them eating cake samples after one of her friends noticed the box on our kitchen counter. I'm going to try to get through the end of the story before I lose my shit. My shock turned into anger, and Maya tried to defend herself by saying it was just cake. I told her that if it was just cake, then she should have no problem replacing it. Maya refused because the price was way too expensive for something that tasted that shitty anyway. Leo backed me up on having Maya pay to replace it, and we argued until I said that if Maya can't cough up the money, then she'll just stay at my future mother-in-law's house because there's no way I was having someone so disrespectful in my house. Maya thought I was bluffing until Leo repeated my sentiment and went to go pack her things in a huff. When she came back out, I handed her some cash for gas and told her to get the hell out! Presumably, after Maya got to her mom's house, my future mother-in-law called me to scold me about kicking Maya out and that I was cruel to do that to her in her time of need. Also, my future mother-in-law was also irritated that I sent Maya her way since she had let Maya into the liquor cabinet and ended up drinking some expensive whiskey that belonged to my future father-in-law, so now they're arguing about it.
My 28 female boyfriend, 29 male of 2 years will not stop speaking in a fake Italian-American accent and keeps making up foreign words. Throw away because he uses Reddit and also because this is kind of embarrassing. Okay, to preface this, I love my boyfriend and he is a super sweet, nice, smart guy that I feel lucky to have. But his behavior lately is freaking me out and makes me worried for the future. My boyfriend loves movies, especially mob movies. He has all of the Sopranos DVDs at his place, and I'm pretty sure he still watches them that way. That's fine. Obviously, you can watch and enjoy whatever you want. But last week, he saw The Irishman with some friends, and since then, he will not stop talking in like a fake, stereotypical mobster accent. We were in an Uber the night after going out to dinner, and admittedly, the driver was going a little fast, but my boyfriend kept muttering things like, "Who's this fucking guy, huh?" Dale Earnhardt Jr. over here, and shooting "ho" as we took corners. He would not shut up and even gave the driver a 1-star review saying it was about respect. Everyone has their quirks. I get it. And they can be what makes someone special. At first, it was even kind of cute/funny, but I just can't really understand this shift all of a sudden. It's been a week, and he continues to make asides in this voice. And when he gets drunk, he speaks in made-up Italian.
No.
Like, we were having dessert at my sister's, and he came up to me and said, quote, "Hey, Ma, I got some home and hit the drapini."
No.
I'm the DD. I don't drink. So I asked him why he wants to leave and what a drapini is. His response was, quote, "You know, like a shower." He also never called me Ma before, and now he does it almost all the time. I feel crazy. Like, is this going to be a permanent feature of his personality now?
Oh my God.
I know this sounds incredibly stupid compared to some of the other stories on here, but I'm really nervous about what this means about his personality/mental health.
Oh my God.
He really is a sweet, loving guy with a wonderful family, and we have a lot in common, but just like, I don't even know how to begin to approach this. I want to tell him off and be like, "Why do you keep doing this voice? Can you please stop?" We don't live together, so thankfully it's not a constant thing, but like, what if we did and it was? Is this the kind of thing you just deal with when it's someone you love?
My 27 female, soon-to-be sister-in-law, 22 female, said something about my 3-month-old that made me really uncomfortable. My soon-to-be sister-in-law, Helen, was over visiting today. Helen loves our 3-month-old and loves being around her. A little info on Helen. She's young, 22, kind of immature, and has terrible anxiety. She babysat our daughter once, and my husband's father was there. I was a little nervous to let Helen do it herself because I haven't known her super long, 1 to 2 years, I think. So it was a good trial run with Grandpa there. I totally trust him. Anyways, we were talking about babies crying and how it can really cause your blood pressure to rise and be sensory overload. Well, at one point, Helen said something along the lines of, "She's so precious, but sometimes when she cries, it makes me want to just put a pillow over her face." I was shocked. In the moment, I didn't really know what to say or do, so I just laughed it off. But now I'm completely uncomfortable with Helen ever watching our daughter alone. My husband agrees. Now, here's where it gets tricky. Helen is marrying my husband's brother. Helen currently lives with my husband's sister, Lily. When we were looking for a sitter for the first time, we texted Grandma, Grandpa, and Lily, purposefully leaving Helen out because I wasn't too sure I wanted her to babysit. Lily couldn't babysit, but since her and Helen lived together, Lily asked Helen, and then we felt like it would be rude to say no, and since Grandpa was going to be there, we were okay with it. Now, how do we go about talking to Lily so that we can still have her babysit, but let her know not to ask Helen if she's unavailable? Should we even do that to her or just forego asking either of them? Is that too much to put on Lily? I get that people have intrusive thoughts that cross their minds and that just people sometimes think something they never actually do. But to verbalize it about my child to me just made me really uncomfortable.
I just third wheeled on a date with a guy and his mom, and he flipped out when I told him I wasn't going to stay the night. Last night I, 26 female, went on a first date with a new guy, 28 male, I'm talking to. I have known him for a couple of months, but we haven't started talking until recently. Last week he asked me if I wanted to go to a hockey game with him and his mom, and it actually sounded fun to me. I have never been to a hockey game and I didn't really mind that his mom was going because he had those plans with her first anyways and invited me to tag along. His house is a 2-hour drive from mine and he lives close to the hockey arena. The plan was for me to stay at his place afterwards so I wouldn't have to make a late 2-hour drive back home. I assumed that when he invited me to a hockey game with him and his mom that we would be sitting together. But I assumed that wrong. After I arrived, he said that his friend and his friend's girlfriend were coming too. He said he had a set of 2 seats together and a set of 3 seats together. The 2 seats were a little closer to the court, so he said he wanted his mom to sit with him in the 2 seats first, and that I would sit with his friend and friend's girlfriend in the 3 seats. Keep in mind, I did not know his friend or his friend's girlfriend. I just met them last night. There are 3 periods in the game, so he wanted his mom to sit with him for the first period of the game and I would sit with his friend and friend's girlfriend. Then we would switch and I would sit with him and his mom would sit with his friends for the second period. And for the third period we would switch again. He had bought the 3 seats together first for him, his mom and myself. When someone offered those 2 seats closer to the court, he bought those too, and then invited his friend and friend's girlfriend to come so I would have someone to sit with. After the first period, he changed the plans and him and his mom came to sit with me in the 3 seats and his friend and friend's girlfriend went to the 2 seats. I believe his friend said something to him about it because his friend also thought it was strange to make me sit with them when we could all 3 sit together and they could go to the other seats. I'm glad this change happened because I felt like it was just weird to have me and his mom switch places like that, and the 3 seats together were really good anyways. They were lower level and we could see the entire rink. Let's backtrack a little bit. During the first period, my mom who was keeping my dog texted me. Anyone that knows me knows my dog is my absolute baby. He is 12 years old and has been with me through so much. I love him so much and will drop anything to take care of him. I have even called out sick from work before when my dog was sick so that I could stay home and care for him. He has degenerative disc disease, which is a problem in his spine. The discs in his spine can get inflamed and cause him immense pain where he is not able to walk at all. So, when my mom told me that my dog was having a flare-up and was not doing well, I immediately knew that I would need to go get him from my mom and take care of him after the hockey game. While my mom is a great caregiver for my dog, I would feel much better being home with him and caring for him myself. He has ended up in the animal hospital for multiple days before because of his condition, and I didn't want that to happen again. So, I told my date after the first period that I would probably have to go home tonight and take care of my dog instead of staying. I explained to him what was going on. He immediately seemed annoyed, saying it's just a dog and that the dog will be fine and you better stay the night with me. And whoa, I immediately felt icky with that response. I could forgive the feelings towards my dog being just a dog, because I am aware that people who aren't dog parents may not understand the love that we have for our pets. They are family. But his statement saying I better stay with him really didn't sit well with me. After the game we took an Uber back to his house. He started arguing with me about me wanting to leave to take care of my dog. He raised his voice at me as well, saying if your dog is that important then just go. Gah. You're wasting time just sitting here. He also said, you could at least give me a back rub before you leave. I was utterly stunned at the words coming out of his mouth. I gathered my things and walked out of his bedroom, closing the door behind me. A moment later he came out of his room and rushed downstairs to lock the door behind me. He was still raising his voice and fussing at me saying I was full of bull crap. I walked myself to my car which was across the parking lot in his townhome complex. I got in my car shocked at what had just went down and started driving away. A few minutes after driving he called me and started fussing again. He told me it was a slap in the face for me to leave when the entire night was all about me, and he was doing everything he could to make sure I had fun. Honestly, I disagree with that statement because of how he handled the seating arrangements. But, I was not even upset about that anymore. The reason I was driving home was because my dog was in pain and I wanted to be there with my dog. I tried to explain it again once more but he started yelling and cussing again on the phone, so I hung up. Surely I'm not in the wrong here, right? I still just can't believe this all happened.